that being said, with Public Enemy and the development of the group and its progress, how did you guys balance presenting that delicate line of being forceful, being promoting intelligence and all this stuff with making a point not to come off preachy or corny or whack, especially at the beginning with Yo Bum Rush the Show and doing shows where you were already on the bill with superstars and you were the emerging or unknown act. How did you balance that visually and as part of your shows?
Well, the thing was to like uh Brother Raj had mentioned it. Like Public Enemy, we like, it's kind of like the people's champ. It was like we're like the Muhammad Ali's of rap. We're like the people's champs. Um, where Public Enemy like didn't start up here and then try to like didn't start above the audience and then try to linger up there and try to catch everybody up. Um, we started off grassroots with the people, um, and it was no matter where we were always among people. Um, I mean, no matter what city, no matter what country. Um, like one of one of the roles that we played, and I just do it all the time, where where like we go into a city, you know, and back in the 80s and 90s, one of the things like on a tour, one of the things that we've always um, made sure that we did was we visited schools, community centers, prisons, whatever the situation was. Wherever people were at, that's where we would be. The S1Ws would do. We would do um, this recon, and we'll gather information. What's going on in the city? What are some of the issues that people are feeling? Um, Social, political, economics, whatever it is, good, bad, indifferent. So we would talk with the promoters who brought us in there. We would talk to various leaders from those different cities, and most of the time, and more importantly, we would be talking among just those individuals that lived inside of the city. So now when it's time for Chuck to stand up in front of a crowd of people to talk at this time, before he goes up, all right, Chuck, this is what's going on here. Talk about this. Stay away from this. Whatever the situation is, this, if there was any sensitive issues, talk about this. Stay away from this, and that, and the other. So we kind of guide that talk. Um, Same thing. It was just, and the same thing with the way like some of the records were developed. Um, Chuck, one of the more creative minds in the music lyrically. I mean, it's like he may not have that a tricky rap flow that that some people are kind of attracted to. Um, but his ability to implement messages um, into a good song structure. You know what I mean? Where it's not preachy. I mean, it's not like he's giving a sermon. It's like he's rapping. Then, um, like I don't know if you've seen a movie, um, uh, "Don't Be a Menace to Society" while drinking juice in the hood,
Hmm.
where throughout the movie, you know, one of the actors would say something, then Keenan will pop up and go message, and then you
Right.
kind of so that Public Enemy songs were that type of thing where there'll be a strong structure, there's music going 120 beats per minute, sounds coming from all different angles, um, more samples than anybody can count. Um, and then Chuck riding, Chuck rides the beat, um, and like even if you like you even listen to Chuck's cadence, like Chuck's my man, but they're like he can't dance. He's like what the fuck is your rhythm at? How do you get that? But his rhymes are the same way. So, but he knows how to he instead of fits in that part, he kind of rides along the top of the track. So, you know, and then in the middle of all that chaos, well, boom, there's a message. There's a message. There's a message. So people first thing they're attracted to, back then with and even now, but back then more so, where you had the Bomb Squad, who was an group of incredible group of producers, um, would create tracks, and people would get into the music. So now you into the music, and then you're hearing Chuck rap. So now you're starting to rap along with Chuck, and then so now you boom, now you're rapping, and not necessarily at first you don't even really realize what you're saying, but then you like then you sit back and now you start to think about it, and you're like, oh man, join Chesimard. Let me read what this is. 1555. What happened in 15? It's just like different messages that that um that went on that made you like after you got into the song, you heard certain things, and then it was, we always encourage people like, don't just take it don't just take it face value. Go ahead and read it, because none of research it yourself, because none of the stuff that was stated during those period of time was made up. None of us made it that stuff up. So and then the group never wanted to be like another Nation of Islam or NAACP or SNCC, or like one of those major organizations. Just wanted to give a message and like tell you where that message came from. And then then the individuals, you find which one of those organizations, which one of these groups that are doing something positive, and you attach yourself to this message that they have, and then you go ahead and make yourself better. So it wasn't, it wasn't like it wasn't trying to be the the church of Public Enemy,
Right.
or this organization where he's like, yeah, come join us. It wasn't a cult thing. It was just like, this is the information. You go out there and you find this, and the more you read, the more you ask questions, the more you interact with people who are smarter than you, the better that you'll be. I mean, it's
No, I
um
mean through rap, I was exposed to a lot and read a lot and thought about a lot of things I most likely wouldn't have otherwise. So
mhm.
it, at least for me, it worked. So, I'm very fortunate and blessed that that happened. But as you guys were evolving and getting into bigger venues, how did the S1Ws evolve of what you were doing from Yo Bum Rush the Show to the explosion of It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back?
we we grew internally, like even with the group. When we first started off with the group, it was um, just we start off this day. We just hold, 50, first show 15 minutes. We hold one position in 15 minutes, just standing there with the arms folded for 15 minutes. It was Dougie Fresh made the suggestion that the S1Ws should move more on stage. They should be engaged, into the show. do some type of movement. That's when we started drilling. We started off like 87. We used to have like plastic Uzis and we just point guns at the audience and do it. So we used to scare the fuck out of people. um, but it kind of the so then we once we started moving and engaging ourselves into the overall uh show, it actually made the the Public Enemy show that much better because now you wasn't just because like you had to watch a Public Enemy show, your head had to be on a swivel because you had Chuck here, Flavor here. They're crossing. Now you got the S1Ws. First it started with two, and then it went to four of us. And we're doing different things where, we're uh at one point, two of us won a platform and two down on a stage, and we're crossing. We get into the center of the stage. We'll do while Chuck and Flavor on the wings. We're in the center of the stage. We're creating this. So we begin and Terminator, of course, doing the scratching. Lord later on doing scratches and stuff. So um, we engaged into the over. We engaged more into the stage to um, bring out the performance better to give the people something to visually better to look at. Um, and then like even behind the stage, it was more even on stage when like I stopped traveling with the group in 97, 98. But prior to me leaving the group, I was I was the third vocalist on the group. Not unless I tell people that they don't even know because I used to have a headset. Um, and um, so I used to have to used to drill and prior to going, when putting together the show, I'm having conversations with Chuck where there's points where he drops out to either catch his breath or just prepare for like if he has a line where it's a bunch of words, so there's no stumble. So he'll drop out, I'll fill in, and then just go in, and then my vocals also filled up the chorus. Um, so I mean, it was at one point where I did more vocals on stage than probably Flavor, because Flavor most of the time was just his individual songs. But I was on his songs, Chuck songs. I used to have to watch Chuck to where like I can I'm so in tune, and we were all so in tune with him. Like I can hear the reflection in his voice, and I can tell if he was getting getting tired, um, because he runs the whole time. So I have to listen to that, and then even if it wasn't a cue where I normally would get in, I would have to be able to jump in and fill that up as well. Or it's been times where he's rapping and forgot lyrics. So I would jump in and fill those in too. Off stage, um, we became the a part of the business of public enemy, um, especially on the road. We started off as road managers. Then we moved into management of the group, and we used to um, uh, direct every portion of the group moving from from home to every city, country or that we went into, as well as we were the ones interacting with management before we took over management when Rush was the manager. Um, talking with management, and then even like I said, eventually we took over management. But booking agents, travel agents, promoters, press, all that stuff came through us. Um, so you know, like when people look at the Public Enemy show, you know, we were the ones that sound check. At the end of the night when the arena is empty, we're left in the room with the with promoters um, doing what's called settlement. You know, especially if we got to a point where it's like we're sharing a percentage, like once the promoter reaches their profit margin, then we get the split off of the back end. Many a nights we're sitting in a room with a promoter and a building rep, and we're counting ticket stubs, ticket stubs to make sure that you know that everybody's honest and we get the right the amount of money that we got and get back to the hotel, and then making the announcement to everybody, Chuck Flavor included, yo, the bus is leaving at this time. And if you didn't make the bus at that particular time, we say the bus leaves at 8, you get to no, we a time. We say if you have to be on the bus at 8, you get to that bus 8:01, then it's a fine you had to pay. And we enforced all that. And it's just up to a point with Chuck. Chuck at times when it's like if he knew he was going to be late, sometimes the fines, it's simple things. You may have to buy breakfast or dinner or something for everybody on the bus. We was traveling kind of deep, so um, it was cheaper for Chuck just to fly to the fly to the next city because when we had to pay for it, when you had to pay for your own meal, then you're gonna go to a buffet and you're gonna get the most reasonable meal that you possibly can to save as much money as you can. Even if you got the money, it doesn't mean that you got to spend it. But if somebody else has to pay for it, it's a whole different restaurant. The menu is going to be different. But what
So
it did, you made the next day you was at that bus at 8 o'clock in the morning.